Hello, in this video I would like to talk a bit about my professional background and also about the ideas behind this course. So my background is in computational social science, which is a field that essentially uses new sources of data and new computational methods in order to answer questions from broadly understood social sciences. This field started to emerge in early 2000s when people started to realize that there might be alternative ways to collect social data. For example, what were people doing? They were like creating a device that can be weared by participants of a study, and then these participants can like freely communicate with each other. So for example, it can be in conference settings, and this device would record every time when they're interacting with each other. So it allows us to create this kind of network of interactions between people, something that would be hard to get with traditional methods. And then these people are also often like using methods from physical sciences or computational sciences to analyze this sort of data. And this field remained marginal for quite some time until social media websites became very popular. And the reason for that was that once there was many people on Facebook, Twitter, etc., a lot of data on social interactions between people became available to researchers. And unlike a previous example, when you need to have this device, that probably would cost you a lot of money, a lot of technical expertise, but getting access to social media data was relatively easy, and so people started to do all sorts of research using this data. And I personally worked a lot with social media data from a Russian website, VK, and my thesis was all based on data from this Russian social media website. And it became this field so important that one of the two main scientific journals, which is Science, decided to publish a paper introducing this field to general scientific public. So in 2009, the paper called Computational Social Science was published that essentially introduced this field to a larger public. And then when 10 years later, another follow-up paper was published, again in Science. It was called this time Computational Social Science, Obstacles and Opportunities. At this time point, it was already established field, and it was also like very successful because there was a lot of interest in insights, interest in research published in the best journals. And in our field, there is a conference, kind of main conference of our field. It's called International Conference on Computational Social Science, but everyone calls it just IC2S2. And if you look at this conference in 2022, if you look at the program, so what you can discover is that there is something that was related to large language models, in particular to GPT. So this was even before ChatGPT was released, because ChatGPT was released in the late 2022. But of course, GPT models were released earlier, and they were already used by members of our scientific community in order trying to understand questions from social science. In 2023, there was like even more papers, already 6 papers presented at the conference. What's interesting is that at least one of the papers was already using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was released in late 2022. The deadline for this conference is usually in January or February, so people just got a couple of months to do research, but it was already possible for them. And in 2024, actually almost 30% of submissions, they mentioned generative AI or large language models or ChatGPT. So this Gen AI became really important in my field, which is not surprising because it's a new computational tool, and the idea of computational social science is to use computational tools, and it's a very effective computational tool. So that's why it's also for me very natural to start to do something related to generative AI. But to be honest, I was a bit hesitant for quite some time. And that's because it seems like everyone started to do some sort of Gen AI. It became like really hyped area, and just it's not for my personality. So I personally am trying to avoid things where there are a lot of people, both like in social situations, and also I try to avoid this kind of crowded professional fields. But there was a couple of reasons why I changed my mind, and I think the main reason was just that I started to see a lot of productivity improvements in my own work thanks to large language models, and so it just helped me to realize that it's kind of a real tool that will be changing how we work in the future. And that's why it's kind of a bit stupid just to ignore it and not to embrace it. And now I'm actually embracing it, and most of my research is now about generative AI, and I'm also using generative AI in my own research. And then I also wanted to share my experience and my knowledge in this field, but there is so many already courses on generative AI. So I wanted to do something that would be different from most courses. And the idea was to focus on research. So this course was tailored for PhD students, but I think it should be interesting for general audience as well. And the idea was that I don't want maybe to focus on providing tutorials. There are many tutorials, how you can use specific tools. I also don't want to focus on prompts and sharing prompts that works. Instead, I want to provide people with maybe kind of deep understanding of how the technology works and also ground it in real research. So essentially my course is based on published research papers, but in the same way I try to keep it accessible. So there's no prior knowledge that's required for you to understand this course. So in this course I want to cover 4 main topics. I want to start with discussing how technologies behind GenAI work. And strictly speaking, it's not necessary. You can directly jump to graphic interface and start to chat with chatbot. But I feel that if you have high-level understanding of technologies behind GenAI, it makes you a better user, and it also makes you more critical when you're assessing some information about generative AI, both positive or negative claims. Then the second topic is how to talk with AI, and that means understanding its strengths, understanding its weaknesses, and once you understand weaknesses, also understanding what can be the strategies for effective use of these tools. The third topic is also important, and it's about ethical consideration, why you should be careful when using these models. And these 3 topics I expect to be relatively stable in terms of content. And then there would be the 4th topic is just about different use cases of using AI in research, and I expect that this would be a constantly expanding topic with more and more examples. So that's all. See you in the next video.